Hey everybody, welcome to this video. This is Luke and I'm here to talk about what I think is the best feature of Tableau 2020.4, and that is map layers. I know for Tableau the big release was being able to use Tableau Prep online and build straight away from start to finish online, seamless experience, and that is certainly a game changer for Tableau in its own right. But I absolutely believe that map layers is really a game changer for all of BI. That's because we can use it not just for maps, but for other functionality as well. And that's what we're here to talk about. I'm going to walk you through an example and then walk you through two others as we go. So what I want to do is actually hop directly into Tableau. I've connected to the sample Superstore data, and I want to show you what map layers looks like, and then I'm going to give you some additional insights to go with it. So like I said, I believe this is game-changing functionality for Tableau. So I'm going to start by creating a visualization. Let's plot by region. So I'm just going to double click on, I have the calculation over here on the left called region, or a field, a dimension, and it'll give me labels by region. I'm going to change my type to map, and I have a map showing. I'm going to color it in here by profit ratio. So let's add in some color. We're able to highlight the West region, doing much better. Maybe I'll add an extra label in here too to go with it. So there's some labels, but that's standard functionality for Tableau. Let's actually get into the big change here, map layers. This time I'm going to take state. And instead of creating a second axis, a dual axis to show off the layer of region and state, I'm going to click and drag state out. And as I do, you'll notice here on the view, there's a new section called add a marks layer. And that's going to create a new mark card for us. And it's going to layer in state. So I'm just going to bring state and release it. Now you'll see we have dots for every single state. And I'm just going to resize these a little bit, and let's have some little fun. Let's choose pi because it's frankly going to draw your attention a little bit more. And we'll take category and we'll put that on color, and maybe we'll put sales on angle. And now we have like a little, a pie chart for every state layered on top. But this is not new, right? You could technically do this with the previous version of Tableau. It's just 2 layers. But the added functionality that we have now is we actually have the ability to have unlimited layers and sort of stack things on top of each other that even if they're identical, with another layer on top of it can really make for an interesting chart type. So like I said, I could just technically take state, and maybe if I even brought state back out here, let's go find it, bring state and drag a new layer, and it layers it on top. I could color the circle there that I just added. I could sort of make it match the region color or attempt to, or I could just set it to I could change the color to white, and now I have a donut chart on top of every state. And this would be new functionality because we have 3 layers showing up. But I can even take it a whole nother level. I can find city and I can drag that out, add a 4th layer on top, show city. We have some unknown marks. That's because you need city and state combined in our data set. So I'm just going to add state to detail, and it brings out the remaining cities here. And maybe I'll just say, let's keep those dots as is, but let's size them by sales. And what we'll have here are, we've got a bunch of different mark types that are sized completely differently, that are colored differently, that frankly have a totally different look from point to point. So this to me is already an amazing new functionality. I can encode layers at different levels, and I can use, if I have a line type, I could layer on lines. If I have points, I can have points. If I have shapes, I can have shapes, and layer them all up. And this is already a vast improvement to mapping for Tableau. If, by the way, you don't want to allow selection on any one of these layers, so let's say I don't want to be able to select the center of this donut, which was this order layers, you can actually turn off the ability to select that layer by clicking on the dropdown on the marks card and choosing disable selection. So there it is. I've disabled selection. It is now gone. And I could also say, if I don't want to see a layer temporarily, just click it and it'll turn the layer off. And what I meant by click it is there's a little eye icon next to the mark type as I hover over that marks card, and I can turn it on and off that value really easily. That is, essentially map layers and what it is. But in some experimentation, there's some Tableau Zen master Jeff Schaefer showcased some really cool functionality that if you turn off map layers, you can build some amazing different chart types that usually previously had involved some level of data densification. And that usually means modeling and adding in new data, and it becomes much more complicated. But we can actually take some of those complicated chart types and build them straight away with almost no additional effort, very little effort to really get to it. And one of those is the sunburst chart. It's really like stacked pie charts, but even creating this in the past was a little bit of a headache. I'm going to show you how to do this visualization right now. I'm just going to create a new sheet and actually build it out. We're going to start by kind of creating a center point here. I'm creating a new calculated field, and I'm going to call it exactly that, center point. And in that, I'm going to use a function called MAKEPOINT. And MAKEPOINT just makes a point for a map. And in the MAKEPOINT function, I'm going to type 0, 0. The first value is going to control our y-axis, and the second value is going to control our x-axis. So the first value controlling latitude and the other value controlling longitude. I'm going to hit OK, and now I'm going to go find center point, and I'm going to double click, create a map view, and now you see we have a map centered at 0, 0. This is 0 latitude, 0 longitude. I'm going to change my mark type to circle. Actually, I'm going to choose pi, my bottom layer here. And I'm going to create an ad hoc calculation on my marks card to help with the sizing of things. I'm just going to type min 0. Actually, I'm going to type min 1. And I'm going to place that on size. This is just a temporary thing. I can then size up my point to make it very large. And I sort of want to make it the biggest because it's going to be my back layer of my visualization. And let's create a pie chart. I'm going to take sales. That's going to be key here for analysis. Place it on angle. And then I'm going to take category, place it on color, and subcategory on detail. And then I'm going to just click on color and change my borders to white here. Now you can see all the sections of the pie. Well, to create this sunburst chart, we actually have to just layer up pie charts. And the way that we're going to do that is we're going to take that center point calculation, and we're going to add a second layer. And there it is, a tiny little dot right in the middle there. Well, once again, I'm going to resize. I'm going to change my mark type to pi. I'm going to type min 1 as an ad hoc calculation. Again, just to help with sizing. Add it to size. And then I can choose and edit my size and make that a little bit bigger as well. Not all the way, but pretty big at this point. And then once again, we're going to take category, place that on color, and we're going to find sales, and we're going to place that on angle. And now we have matching, overlapping pie charts. That is really what a sunburst chart is. I can just change this border to white as well, and we've created our chart type. Let's add one more layer on top of it. Again, we're going to use that center point 3 times, the exact same calculation here. On top, there's our dot. I'm going to change this time my mark type to circle. I'm going to, once again, size this out. I'm going to use min of 1 to help with the sizing. And I'm just going to make this a little bit bigger. And now I'm going to change the background color to white. And let's add our total sales as a label on that mark. And it's kind of below the mark. Let's actually just center align the value. And because we don't know what it is, give it a label, and perhaps we'll just make this value just a little bit bigger inside of it. And that's our sunburst chart. But Luke, while we've been layering, I sort of was following what you're doing. We're adding the same layer over and over. We use this make point of 0, 0 to use as a placeholder to build this visualization. How do I get rid of the map? And this is the best part. To get rid of the map, we're just going to come up to, on our top menu, map, background maps, and we're going to select none. Again, up top menu, map, background maps, none. We select none, and the layers turn off, and guess what? We just have a standard visualization now. All we kind of need to do here is just do some light formatting. I'm right-clicking and choosing formatting, and I'm going to go over to my lines. I'm going to choose no grid lines, no zero lines, and no axis rulers. I'm going to repeat that for rows here. No grid lines, no zero lines, no axis rulers. And then I'm going to hide my axes. And guess what we've done? We've sort of created that visualization here. Looks great. It's a sunburst chart donut to go with it. We've layered up that make point 0, 0 on top of each other and created this KPI. Again, if I don't want to allow for clicking on this value, I could just click on the drop down here, choose disable selection, and now I can still click the layers below, but I can't click that top layer. So if I wanted to disable all of them, again, just clicking the drop down and disabling it now, and now you can hear my mouse as I attempt to click over it. I can't select those values. I want to show you one more example here today, and I'm going to sort of give you a quick step-by-step of this one. We're going to create a longer video in the future detailing exactly how to do this, but I'm going to create this visualization that has 3 layers. It has an area chart, a line chart, and this text all above it, and we're going to layer 3 different values. And these are sales by month is what we're taking a look at. The blue line is 2020, the gray area chart is 2019. How do we go about creating this? Well, really straightforward in the analysis. It takes a few steps. I'm going to say straightforward, but let's be honest, it takes a few steps. But with a little bit of practice, you'll get it down in no time. Trust me. This is, to me, where I believe it's game-changing, because when I think about a visualization, when I create it, I think about the layers. I think, oh, I'm going to create an area chart with 2019. I'm going to create a line chart with 2020. Oh, let's add some labels on top of that. Previously not possible because it's 3 different mark types on one chart. We could only ever do 2 with a dual axis. Maybe we could cheat around if we were doing some data densification and trying to trick things. But this is really, to me, the game changer, being able to layer things on top to create any visualization. Before we create this visualization, I want to call out that we're using latitude and longitude generated values. On rows, you'll notice latitude generated, and on columns, you'll notice longitude generated. With latitude, your values need to be between -90 and 90. And with longitude, your values need to be between -180 and 180, because that is the whole range of a map. That's when we create a map, those are the degrees that we operate within. That's what the bounds of Tableau is. So when we map, just remember, we've got to keep our values normalized within that range. And the way that I find it easiest to normalize is to either put my values between -1 and 1 or 0 and 1. And that's what we're going to mostly do here in this example. I'm going to create a new sheet, and I'm going to walk through the really 6 steps for creating it. And number 1 begins with building out level of detail calculations that showcase the visual of interest and the level of detail of interest. So in this case, that visualization I was looking at, I wanted to see sales by month for a particular year. And I created that calculation with a level of detail. If you take a look at this calculation, this is really step 1. I have created a fixed calculation by month, aggregating the sum of sales for 2019. That's what this is returning. Let's do it by month, get those values, roll them up. That's step 1. I'll do the same thing, by the way, for 2020. If you wanted to take a quick look at it, there's my 2020. Same calculation. If the year is 2020, then give me the sales. Let's roll that up by month. Our sales are going to be well above -90 or way above 90. So that's not going to work for us. We need to normalize. And the way I normalize is real simple here. I'm going to take our level of detail calculations we just created, and I'm going to wrap those inside of a level of detail calculation max. So I'm going to say, if the sales are 2020 by month, let's divide that by the max value. That means if my highest sales month was in December, that's going to return the December value. And then that value divided by itself is 1. So my maximum value that it's going to return here is 1. And I'm going to repeat that same process for 2019. So let's take a look at 2019 normalize. I'm dividing by 2020. And of course, there might be some values that go above 1 in this case, right? Maybe 2019 had a few months with higher sales than 2020. That's okay. As long as they don't go above 90, the normalization is going to work just fine. So we've got these 2 values. We've got step 1, creating that level of detail calculation. Step 2, creating the normalization with an LOD. And an LOD is important to use here because table calculations will not work with MAKEPOINT, which is our third step. Our third step is to take our normalized calculations and actually plot them using MAKEPOINT. So let's take a look at what that will look like. I'm going to open up a calculation I pre-created called Points 2019 Sales. And what this is going to be is my first value is my Y value that I'm going to plot, which is sales that are normalized for 2019. And then my second value is going to be the month. And month is going to be between 1 and 12, so I know it's still within the appropriate range. It's between -180 and 180, no problem. So I create this calculation with MAKEPOINT. Again, MAKEPOINT's going to plot the values on a map for us. It's sort of like the translator from regular speak of Tableau to map layers. We create MAKEPOINT and we do the Y value first, then the X value. I'm going to hit OK. I'm going to double click and bring that value out on my view. And I'm going to change my mark type. And what I do is actually going to aggregate it back down to a single point here. So I'm going to choose area. I just have a single line. What I need to do is go find month. And I'm going to bring that out on detail. And now I have my area chart. Let's just change the color here to light gray. There it is. And now I'm going to plot over the top of it 2020. Again, I'm going to use that same points calculation that we just created for 2020, or at least I showcased. Bring it out, put that point over. I'm going to change my mark type to line. It's going to reduce down to 1 point. So I've got to get my level of detail correct here. So again, just bringing my points out that I created, adding my level of detail that's equal to whatever is in my level of detail calculation. I had month in there. If you were using more than one value, bring all of those values onto your marks card because otherwise it won't render on your view. The last point I want to add to this is I want to add a label over the top here to sort of showcase 2020 sales. I'm going to create a new calculated field. I'm going to use MAKEPOINT. Remember, MAKEPOINT is the thing that's going to translate regular speak to the mapping world. And what I want to do is add a point that just labels 2020 sales. And I'm going to place that sort of between June and July and above all the values. So they're normalized to 1. So I'll just say 1.1, sort of the Y value. And the X value here is 6.5. And then we'll just call this KPI label. And we'll drop this calculation, this new KPI calculation, onto its own map layer. And we'll have a little dot. This dot, I'm going to change my mark type to text. There it is, ABC, showing up. Now I just need to add in my total here. And I'm just going to create a new calculation for this. I'm just going to say sum if year of order date is equal to 2020. Then let's return sales, end. And I'll just call this 2020 sales. I'm going to hit OK. Let's go find 2020 sales. And we're going to add it to text. And I can just do some formatting, right? We want it as a numerical value, a currency. I'm going to change my default property. I'm going to change my decimals to 0 decimals. And then I'm going to edit my text as well. And I'm just going to say sales so we know what it is. And then maybe I'll make this text a little bit bigger. And maybe I'll even make this label just slightly larger as well. And that's our KPI. Again, our last step after this is frankly pretty simple. We're going to go up to map, change background maps to none. And then we've reset our visualization. If I wanted to keep my labels down here, by the way, I can do that. If you want to do advanced labels, I've got another longer video on the way that's going to showcase how you can build out all the features of a visualization so you can have layers but still have it feel like a standard visualization. Here I'm going to hide my axes. I'm going to hide my headers. I'm going to right click, by the way, I'm going to cheat. I'm going to copy my formatting from that sheet that we just used and paste it to get rid of all the lines. And that's our visualization. That's it. So if you're thinking about this, that's pretty cool. We can actually take map layers, standardize the values, and plot as many layers. If I want as many layers, whatever I want, I can put them right on top and I can create complex visualizations generally pretty easy. I mean, we're talking about 3 layers on top. Previously, we'd have to like stack these up or come up with some interesting way to build this visualization. That's no longer the case. We'll just layer things up. To do this process, by the way, it really involves 5 steps. 1, create a level of detail calculation that shows the exact aggregations that you're looking for on your view. Step 2, normalize your data between -1 and 1. Really, it needs to be between -90 and 90 or -180 and 180, but it helps. Get it within the proper bounds is step 2. So that's your normalization. Step 3 is to use a MAKEPOINT and actually to bridge that gap and get it ready to map. Step 4, add it to your map. Format your visualization. Add the components. Don't forget to bring the level of detail onto your marks card. And then finally, turn off your maps layer. Go up to map, go to maps layer, select none, and that builds this visualization. That's it. To me, this is the game-changing feature of Tableau 2020.4. It's also generally a BI breakthrough that is unmatched by any tool today, is this ability to do map layering, frankly, layering any visualization for a BI tool. And I think it's only going to get better, only going to go further. This is the thing to me that's really going to separate Tableau from all other tools going forward, is this ability to layer things out. Anyway, that's our video. We actually created 4 other videos talking about the features of 2020.4. If you are interested in watching those, go back, check them out. And if you like this video, be sure to like and subscribe. It's going to help your algorithm. And actually, you know, being a little bit greedy about it, boost up our algorithm as well. So appreciate your time today. Thanks again for watching this really long video, and have a great day.